Hello, I'm Daniel, and welcome to my YouTube channel. We here at the channel are continuing in our series of videos with respect to information, education, inspiration, guidance, advice. And I was reading the first chapter of the book of Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy. And times being what they are, I was struck by something Moses said. And at any other time, it wouldn't have hit me. But in the 12th chapter, the 12th verse of the first chapter, Moses saying, how can I alone carry? How can I do this alone? And it hit me. You know, he was alone, saying it's lonely at the top. He's the one who has to make the decisions. He's the one who has to take responsibility. Words like alone, loneliness, isolation, forsaken, deserted, they shed a little light on Moses' critique, and by extension, our tragedy. Moses was used to hearing the nation's burden. His complaint was that he was alone. And I want to stress that Moses didn't need assistance. He's quite capable of leadership by himself, even by himself. Like I said, lonely at the top. The quintessential leader of our nation was at the proverbial top, and he was alone. Did anyone care? There are certain areas of life, particular endeavors, that can only be performed alone by one individual undertaking certain projects, making the critical decisions himself or herself. The question is, does anybody care? Is anybody aware of the responsibility placed on the shoulder of our leadership? Responsibility which they shoulder all by themselves? Do we sympathize? Do we empathize? It would be so much easier to shoulder the responsibility if he knew that he wasn't really alone. And the same can be said of the Jewish people. So many times in our history, it's like we were alone. In Eicha, in the book of Lamentations, in the first chapter, it says a variation of this: Ein menachem la, there is none to comfort her. Her being Jerusalem, Jerusalem being the Jewish people. Jerusalem is alone, without anyone to comfort her, no one who cares. The loneliness that Jerusalem was experiencing at the beginning of Lamentations was not only a product of the Jewish people's seclusion from other nations. They're cutting themselves off from other nations, which is, sometimes at the will of God. It was the separations that happened from within, the divisiveness, the discord, resulting from sinas chinam, unwarranted hatred, baseless hatred, hating people for no other reason, just for the sake of hating. That was the cause of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, the second temple, sinas chinam, left them all alone. We can't change the past. We can't change history, but we can focus on the source of our suffering, the reason for our misery, in order to attempt to correct whatever problems we may have, and so that they don't happen again. Hopefully, with a little love for our fellow man, we can reverse the trend from isolation from one another, which has caused so much of our suffering for the last 2,000 years. Let's not have people be alone. Let's share the burden with our fellow. Ease their plight, or just be available for moral support. Sometime, lending somebody an ear, giving them a shoulder to cry on at the right time means everything. When we're present for our fellow, we can hope that Hashem will likewise be present for us. We're going to be doing more videos along these lines. I hope you're finding them of some use. I hope you're finding them of some inspiration. And keep coming back, keep watching. And until next time, I'm Daniel, and thank you too much.